2008, Culturelink entered into a partnership with the group that became Cycle Toronto, the cycling advocacy organization for the city. And by 2010, we had the funds in place and some capacity to roll out some larger programs. So Bike Host was one of the first initiatives that we took, one of the first programs that we launched within this partnership. And it's a cycling mentorship program. The goals of the program are twofold. First, in terms of settlement, to foster connections and relationships between newcomers and more established residents. And in terms of cycling, to promote cycling for recreation, enjoyment, and transportation.
It's an interesting partnership because Culturelink can help us reach into underserved communities where there isn't traditionally cycling infrastructure or a lot of bike riders. But riding bikes can help out new immigrants in so many ways by helping them integrate into their community and see how neighborhoods interact with each other. It's also a very affordable way to get your entire family around as opposed to having to purchase a car and get around it that way.
We recruit newcomers to Canada and we match them with volunteers in the community who serve as mentors to help them discover the city on a bike. Many newcomers to Canada don't own a bicycle when they join the program. Some do, but many don't. So we also lend out bicycles for the duration of the program. At the end of the program, those who complete, we try to hook them up with a bike one way or the other so that they can continue their newfound habit.
We bring the cycling expertise that Culturelink doesn't necessarily have, and they bring the cultural expertise. Like, for instance, we partnered together to produce a cycling handbook in over a dozen different languages. And if it had been left up to just Cycle Toronto, it would have been in one language, English, and without Cycle Toronto, Culturelink may not have been able to produce it at all.
You have in this structure mentors who are typically residents of the catchment area of the immediate neighborhood or city that have experience in cycling, that have knowledge of their community, and ideally have some experience working with newcomers. We definitely don't just want to pick someone who is cycling all the time and they're the best. We really want to look at the different elements that they can contribute to our program in terms of relationship development, patience, knowledge in not just cycling, but cycling repair, knowledge of their local community and routes on how to move around.
The cycling mentors are people who are eager to share that experience with newcomers to Canada, are eager to meet new people and help make Toronto and the cycling community a more welcoming place.
The other major component is a do-it-yourself bike hub. This is the place where people of all ages, with a focus on participants in the mentorship program, can learn about basic to more advanced bike repair over time as they gain these skills. What's really exciting about DIY Bike Hub is you can also, as a young person particularly, earn a bike, and that's what that program is called. So over a period of weeks, you will fix 2 bikes, and one you will earn to have as your own. So this will include a bike and a helmet and the basic accessories.
Another important feature of the program is to connect newcomers with the fun locations in the city, good destinations, public events that they might not attend otherwise.
It's really about connecting participants to their neighborhoods. It goes beyond just cycling. It's about having a more deeper connection to your neighborhood, having an appreciation of who lives here, how can I be a part of this world, this diversity of people, this opportunity, and really feel what we call a sense of place. So cycling is meant to be a tool to enable these outcomes. It can include the networking they have that achieves perhaps future job outcomes, future outcomes of friendships and relationships they develop.
We'll recruit the newcomer participants. They participate in what we call the launch day, where they get a workshop about rules of the road and benefits of biking in Toronto, and some of the things that they're going to need to keep in mind about the mechanics of the program itself. And then we'll do a kind of a matching process where they get to meet the mentors and indicate their preferences of who they would like to be matched with.
When we're looking at matching mentors and mentees in our cycling mentorship program, we're really looking at a number of different layers, such as location, So the geography of our mentors and mentees. So again, finding that efficiency of, are they closely located to begin with? For language, we see language as an opportunity rather than a barrier. We're looking at what are the language skills our mentors can bring to the table, and how do these match up with our newcomer mentees? This is also a consideration when we're looking at who are the best mentors for the program for this year, thinking about where are our newcomers coming from? What is the predominant first language that is currently present in the pool of newcomers that we are doing the most outreach to? An additional element we look at for the matching between mentors and mentees is the early relationship development. So we have something called speed matching. It's a kind of a networking, kind of a social atmosphere. It's fun, it's fast, so they get a chance to introduce themselves, learn about one another, their history, their particular needs and wants out of the cycling mentorship program.
The program starts in earnest with the bike day. The bike day is the day that the newcomers come to borrow the bicycles if they don't have one. Most people don't have a bike. And on that day, we'll review the bicycle itself, all its features, make sure people understand how the bike works, and then we'll do an assessment of their riding skills and give them feedback, and then we'll have that information to share with their mentors. The way that we frame the commitment for the newcomer participants is that they're going to complete 10 activities with the program. And we estimate that that's going to take about 30 hours. So the 10 activities would include the launch day, the bike day, returning the bicycles, the closing celebration, and about 6 other group rides or rides just with their mentors, or it could be workshops that we put on, or participation in larger events, or tours that we do.
In Bike Host, we are focused on looking at which audiences may be in greatest need in terms of access to cycling, in terms of access to networking, support for developing their English as a second language, support for their families and youth who may look for volunteer opportunities. It's about giving them a greater feeling of connection and reduced anxiety and stress in their new home. When we see champions emerge from this program at the end of their participation, we see a new level of engagement, which goes even beyond the program itself. When you see these same participants return and actually become the mentors for the next generation of participants, that's where you really see the outcome taken to the next level. That's when you see participants taking ownership of a program that we first provided to them to then provide to the people that come after. And that's why we've seen it so successful and expand to so many communities. Whether it's Scarborough, Markham, Mississauga, or additional programs that are happening in Peel region, that's sustainability.
We developed a intake and exit survey to the program, and the things that we are looking for are basic demographic information that we collect, the mode of transportation that they use to get around the city, the distances they travel around the city, how familiar they are with biking. We look at a sense of belonging, a sense of well-being, their ease of travel around the city, their willingness to spend on a bicycle and accessories. On the exit survey, we ask the same questions again, okay, so that we can do an intake and exit comparison. And we also ask questions about the number of new social connections that people gain through the program, the type of Canadian work volunteer experience that they've gained, and their comfort in their community and their ease of travel again, and those kinds of things that might have changed, as including their attitudes towards cycling and their community. The comparison showed that over a course of multiple years, statistically significant increases in bicycle travel to school, work, shopping, and for recreation and fun. We also found a significant increase in participants' sense of belonging and the number of social connections. They made a significant number of social connections, 4.3 social connections through the program, and another 3+ just through having the bike in the community. People would find that they were out on the sidewalk fixing a bike, or with their child with a bike, and people would stop and talk to them because they were out in the community and more accessible. The sense of belonging was an important aspect of the program, and at program entry, almost 50% of participants had a weak sense of belonging to their community. At program exit, that number decreased to 30%, and over 70% reported a strong sense of belonging to their community. They reported higher levels of belonging based on how much they cycled, that the more involved they were with the program, the more they experienced an increased sense of belonging. And of course, the cycling also increases people's sense of physical well-being, which is a positive antidote to the depression that can occur when you move to a new community. There was some qualitative research done. Our qualitative analysis was conducted by two planning students, one master's and one PhD student. They both used the technique of ride-along interviews. This was completely voluntary for participants. They offered a chance for participants to ride with the researcher through their neighborhoods, through their routes to work and school, and talk about their experiences of Canada and their experiences of riding. The master student did a photojournaling exercise with her participants where they were each given a camera and asked to take pictures of their riding experience and what they saw when they rode. And then they came back to these pictures and talked about what they were thinking when they took this picture and what it was that they valued. That was one of the most inspiring pieces of work that came out of the program. It provided real solid evidence that we were touching people's lives, okay, in a really positive way. People reported an increased willingness to spend at program exit compared to program entry on bicycles and accessories, which reports, to me that people valued the program. There was this hardcore economic value that they found that related to their quality of life. Clients found this program exceedingly beneficial. Over 98% would recommend the program to a friend or a family member. They felt that they had obtained many different benefits. We asked them at entry what they expected to get from the program. Generally, the things that people were looking for in the program were to meet new people, have Canadian experiences, and to have fun. And we found that the program met their needs, their expectations.
The impact of the Bike Host program for newcomers to Canada, from what we found through our programming, the testimonials, our evaluation, is that it really improved their knowledge of cycling, of the infrastructure, and really of their community, and the opportunity that was present there already, and how they could be a greater part of it. They really felt a greater sense of belonging through the relationships we created among mentors and mentees, but also through their own well-being, their sense of physical and mental health. Building these relationships was just a chapter in their new life here in Canada, but it was a chapter that they really felt was a part of their growth and our mutual growth.
The program can operate anywhere where there are cycling mentors, where they want to share their love of cycling with the newcomer participants. So I think that could happen anywhere. It could definitely, I think, be a good program in a smaller community, which is more tight-knit and where the distances are less. There's a big challenge in doing it in a big city like Toronto, because we find many of our mentors are living in the more cycling-friendly neighborhoods, and many of the newcomers are living in areas with that are less friendly to cycling, and that's because of disparities in how the cycling infrastructure has been distributed in the city, and of course all the disparities related to housing and employment. The way that we've tried to address this is to offer programs in partnership with agencies that are based in different neighborhoods, because they know the conditions better. They have stronger relationships with potential mentors who can help the newcomer participants to kind of navigate that specific environment. And very importantly, help with recruiting participants in their specific neighborhood or area. So that's why the partnerships are so important. there's been a lot of interest in Bike Host and this cycling mentorship program or model from around our region and really across the country. And the best example right now probably is Vancouver, where the cycling advocacy organization called Vancouver Hub has partnered with a settlement organization to deliver something very similar. And we're seeking funding on a national level to do this in several cities, including Halifax. So we've also had inquiries from Ottawa, from Guelph, from Montreal. I expect that the model will continue to grow and spread.